Hi, my name's Tim Holmes. I'm the Senior Partner for Growth for Shareholder Group. I'm talking to you today about how shareholders' disputes can completely destroy value in a business. In our experiences dealing with quite a lot of boards, almost all of the companies we deal with have some kind of shareholder, not so much dispute, but there's a disagreement between shareholders. And that's fine if it's managed and kept to a minimum and you have the discussions and it's all very amicable and we resolve it. But where it becomes a problem is where those disputes just escalate and get worse and worse and worse and become the focus of attention at the board level. So for example, a few years ago we had a company we were working with where the couple, the wife was the MD and the husband was the director, and they went through a divorce. And this kind of things happen. But the problem with both people being in the business was the divorce started to drive the behavior at board level, and the disagreement between the shareholders started to dominate the conversation to the point where decisions weren't being made. The company had a bit of a wobble. Now shareholders don't want to invest because they're arguing about their assets, etc., etc. And if it's not dealt with by those two individuals timeously, then the whole company starts to unravel and eventually ends up going to liquidation, and no one wins. In that case, we tried whatever we could to help them with that dispute, but it just never got resolved. So one of the things that we've learned along the way is that if you don't have some kind of independent perspective in a boardroom, and particularly where you have a boardroom dominated by two shareholders or significant shareholders or majority shareholders, it's really difficult to break the conversation between shareholders, directors and managers and push that shareholder conversation out of the room, because it needs to be dealt with out of the room and it can't be allowed to impact the business performance and the business decision-making process. So what we always recommend is that you have at least the chairman as the independent. And for a private company, that's typically not where people are starting. They've got either the majority shareholder or the founder, and there may be the same person who's the chairman, and that's the role they expect to take in the board. But if there's any kind of dispute, then it's really difficult to break that conversation. So one of the key things is to try and get an independent chairperson into that room. And then as an independent chairperson, so from my experience, being that individual that's being bombarded from all sides by the fighting shareholders, it's really important to have some kind of energetic independence behind you to say, okay, now we've got a team approaching this problem rather than you being all on your own. So we would always, as a Shareholder perspective, always trying to have at least two independent directors in the room, because then it's not just a meeting with so-and-so, it's a meeting between the independent directors and the executive directors, and it's a proper board conversation. And you can start breaking down those barriers and saying, right, that's a shareholder discussion, park it, we discussed it in the shareholders meeting. This is a board discussion, we're talking about the strategy, we're talking what's in the best interest of the business. This is a selfless conversation. And then it's a management conversation, that's operational, you must park that, you must have that at an executive level. And we determine as a board what are the key strategic objectives that the management then implement. So really it's about trying to diffuse that emotional conflict between the parties that are the majority shareholders by focusing what are the issues that are in the best interest of the business. And really the only way you can successfully do that, unless the individuals sort it out themselves, is to bring in some kind of independent perspective at board level. Hope that was useful. I hope it helps you change your relationship on your board. If you need any help or support, then please come to our website, shareholdergroup.com, and we'll see if we can help you.